Good morning. Really? That's good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Much better. Okay, my name is Eric Halprin, the Director of Marketing here at MLIve. That's where we are. And we are doing mornings at MLIve. We're doing something a little bit different, as you all signed up for. We're going to be doing a panel discussion with these four guys. So I want to set the stage right from the jump off that if you guys have questions or want to have discussion with them, we can do that starting right now. So you don't have to wait till the end of this to ask your questions. If you have questions, you can ask them as soon as right this very second. So what I'm going to do first is introduce these guys, let them kind of tell you a little bit about what they do and why they do it, and then we can go from there. So directly to my left, this is Jarrett from Damn Handsome Grooming Company. That is Jason Dodge right there. There's Ake of Grand Apps, and Two Eagles Marcus. So guys, again, going in the same order, Jarrett, if you could just kind of tell people who you are and what your company does, and we can kind of go from there.
Absolutely. I'm Jarrett from Damn Handsome, as Eric said, and we are a Kalamazoo-based company. We started in 2013, and really what we do is we partner with Michigan breweries, and we reuse their brewed ingredients that normally would go to waste and get thrown out, that are actually super helpful for your skin and your hair, and we repurpose them into grooming goods for guys. We also donate soap for every purchase that's made. We donate soap to families in need. And like I said, we started in 2013 and we started in the kitchen. And now we're in a full-fledged space downtown Kalamazoo with employees. And we recently got a lot of love from Urban Outfitters and Martha Stewart. And we recently also partnered with Banana Republic. So we're growing fast and furious.
Awesome. As Eric said, I'm Jason Dodge. I'm the founder of Black Truck Media and Marketing. We are local here in Grand Rapids. Started in 2009. We are a search engine optimization, search engine marketing firm. So pretty much anything inbound marketing is our space. I like to say we don't build websites. We make them better. So we make them better for search and for user interaction. Our goal is to get people there and get them to do what we want them to do. So similar experience. We didn't start in a kitchen. But we started in my one-bedroom apartment back in 2009, and for the past almost 4 years, we've been located on 5th Street here on the west side of Grand Rapids.
What's going on, guys? Chris Ake from Grand Apps. First of all, thank you all for coming out. I appreciate that. All of us probably appreciate you guys spending your morning with us. So real quick before I tell my story, I'm just kind of curious, like a poll. We're talking about the startup culture and community. Anybody here part of a startup, entrepreneur, owns a business? Hands high, right? Good morning. Okay, cool. Yeah, good for you guys. I just want to kind of see the goal before we start. So started Grand Apps back in 2011, and similar story. Literally started from a basement from my business partner's chiropractic office, which was like 1970s shag carpet, wood panel walls. We didn't even have a bathroom. Very weird story because the office hours and his patients were kind of up there, so we had to like go to 7-Eleven to use the restroom and kind of sneak out. Very much startup. So yeah, Grand Apps, we started doing mobile apps and then also web design and social media marketing. More or less moving to a full agency in the next couple of years, and we're putting our pieces in places to kind of do that, but we just kind of cornered the market with mobile apps to get our name out there because nobody was really doing it well. And I'm gonna pass it to this guy, Two Eagles, but before that, I got a special thing. As soon as he found we were doing the panel together, he said that, he wrote on my Facebook wall, he's like, every time Chris Ake says the word hustle, he owes me $5. So I forgot to go to the bank, and I was gonna bring $50 of $5, but I actually went to my screen printer and I got a special shirt, so that's why I have my coat on. So I'm gonna be rocking this for the talk, so that's our website too, so yeah. That's it, hustle. Startup culture done, so I'm just kidding. Two Eagles?
I'm Two Eagles Marcus. My company is Glitter Booth, and what we do is we build emotional connections through photographic experiences. How that started out is 2003, I started nightlife photography in the city, and I was keenly aware that people's biggest motivation was their own vanity. So I wanted to build a name for myself. I called my website twoeaglesmarcus.com, and I took people's photos, and I said, hey, go to my website, twoeaglesmarcus.com, and get your photo. So I built up a huge following, and it allowed me a lot of access in the city. So now here I am, as well as the founder of Glitter Booth. I'm also assistant publisher of Women's Lifestyle. So that relationship with the photo booth is kind of a symbiotic one, because the magazine's job is to create awareness of events and get people to events where the photo booth is a form of entertainment, but it's also a form of marketing. So you can connect with an audience you might not connect with typically through the photo booth, through a positive experience, and through these branded takeaways that people they take home. They put them in their refrigerator, they'll put them on their mirror in their bedroom, or they'll have them in their office cubicle. And every time I go to an event, especially if it's the second annual or third annual, they'll say, "Oh, this is a tradition for us. We always get these photos. We have to do it. We have everything's in the refrigerator." So that's what I do.
All right, guys, so at this point, if you guys have questions or comments or whatever, feel free to raise your hand, and I'll just keep going until you guys stop me from doing that. Okay, so I think there was 5 people that raised their hand that are kind of in this startup space. And I think naturally for the rest of us who have more traditional employment, the question becomes, don't laugh, Jarrett. The question I think becomes like, when did you make that decision? Like, what was the thing that popped into your head? And I'll start on the far end, because I know Two Eagles the best out of the 4 guys that are up here. So I was around when you were on Vanity Project 1.0. And I'm interested to know, like, when you were a kid, was that kind of how you were wired? Because you very quickly, at 2003, were in every bar almost instantaneously, or it seemed like instantaneously. So what was the time that you just woke up and went, you know what, I'm not going to have a regular job, this is the thing that I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to monetize it?
Well, when it came to the photography, I was working at Music Review magazine at the time, and there was this perfect opportunity where there was a bikini contest at Tequila Willie's. And I said, "Hey,
of course,
guys, I'm gonna go take photos of this thing, and then we'll put them in the magazine." Like, yeah, that sounds great. So from there, literally, it was a several week series or something. And after one of those, I said, "Hey, I'm just gonna go out to was it the Bucking Beaver
at the time?"
And I said, "Hey, I'm just gonna walk up in here and say I have this camera from Music Review. Can I take photos?" And they let me do it. So I just went out taking photos. It was something that nobody had heard of or seen in the city. That was just a brand new thing, but people reacted to it really well. I just would go from place to place, and I'd meet the DJs, and it was just, I just kind of like instantly had rapport with people, and they started introducing me to other people, and it just went really fast.
Chris, what about you? I mean, because in your self-proclaimed story, so to speak, in your narrative, right? You guys were a little bit early on the app play, right? So there was probably that time when you're using 7-Eleven as a bathroom, right? When you're thinking like, this is a terrible idea. How did you decide that you were going to do this and then stick with it?
Wow, yeah. So sticking with it, first of all, we definitely were way before like the app trend and that kind of happened. I would remember going to restaurants or business owners and just kind of explaining like, hey, in the next 5 years, literally this is going to kind of take over. We see the trend. Luckily, one of my business partners kind of helped me out with that trend, because when we started the company back in 2011, I was actually finishing up my senior year at Grand Valley. And when we jumped in, I was talking to business owners like, hey, what about a mobile app? Have you thought of that, or some kind of mobile presence? Because back when we started, they were doing like the HTML5 like plugins for a mobile website. Nothing was even responsive, and there weren't really native apps for them to market to. So I remember going into like talking to Olive Garden, not like the top, but just like a GM. Like I didn't even know who to talk to. Like just talk to a manager, and I was like, yeah, what about like an app? He goes, oh, like Angry Birds, and I'm like, no, like an app with you could do ordering and different things like that. And he was like, oh, maybe like Angry Breadsticks, we could do a game. And I was like, I was just kind of like, this is gonna be a long ride, right? And I was talking to these guys, and we bootstrapped everything 100%, from the basement. And like what Eric's talking about is the thought, like when you're running your company and you don't see profit, I was working a side job the entire first year. Like I was serving at a restaurant, working 35 to 40 hour weekends, double shifts. Like, so you're thinking like in your head, are you really gonna be successful? Like, are you gonna make it? Are you gonna hit your goals? And doubt creeps in. I was depressed for a year, I'm gonna be real with you. It was probably the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life, but I recommend every single person do it. Even if you're working at a company, go run an Etsy shop, right? Do something that's gonna put you outside of your box to put you through that challenge, because to wrap it up short, I could talk about it for days, but it was probably one of the hardest things, but it shaped me and my character and put me 20, 30 years ahead of my time. So yeah, there's a lot of doubt, and I thought I was going to fail miserably, but I just kept pushing through. So
Jason, what about you?
My story is pretty, I'm going to say it's pretty simple in the fact that, if you look at my background, so been in the search industry for going on 15 years now. I've worked agency, in-house, kind of bounced around. I'm not gonna lie about that. What it came down to was the last agency I was working for locally, who will go unnamed. Managerially, it's horrible. Financially, they were horrible. The writing was on the wall. My goal, I had an exit strategy, was end of year. I had some vacation time to burn up, and excuse me. What ended up happening is I came in one day and I had a paycheck to bounce. So that was just literally the last straw. I said, okay, that's the final push to make me say, yep, screw this. F you guys, I'm out the door. I'm gonna go do this, and I'm gonna do it the way that I always felt that it needed to be done, and go at it the approach that I was trying to always build.
So when you're in that moment, it's a little bit different, obviously, than Chris, who's coming out of college, right? So he didn't know what it was like to get a consistent paycheck from an agency. Like,
For sure.
Talk me through that. I'm scared to death that I'm going to go do this on my own without backup sort of feeling.
Yeah, I think everything was lined up though, in the sense that my wife's gainfully employed, so wife's gainfully employed, living in a small 1-bedroom apartment. So it's not like we had a mortgage
Sure.
and kids and everything like that. So and we have been talking about this kind of consistently for about 6 months. So she knew the direction I was going to go. The fear actually came in more so when I had to call her at like noon from the parking lot and just say, yeah, so here's what happened. And I'm out the door today. Really? Just like that? Yeah, just like that. I'm out the door today. Honestly, that was the fear. The fear was actually to have that conversation with your spouse. The fear wasn't there to go and do something different, because for me it wasn't something different. It was something that I actually had been doing the majority of my professional career anyways. It's just this time I was going to do it for myself.
Gotcha. And Jarrett, what about you? Like, how did you kind of stumble on this?
Well, I
You were
would
in a
say,
kitchen, there was just grain all over the floor, and you were out of soap.
well, that's actually way better.
You should use that.
I should use that. No, as far as like striking out on my own, I guess I would say I've kind of always had a problem with authority, so I was probably not the most manageable person ever. But it's really kind of a combination of what everyone up here has said, from having an idea to seeing how the sausage is made and being fed up with it. I came from social media marketing, and very similar. You reach a breaking point where you're just like, I can't even imagine doing it how everyone else is doing it right now. And I also had a wife who was gainfully employed, which is great if you have that safety net.
Sure.
As far as the soap, how that happened, I knew there was a hole in the marketplace for guys with sustainable products, and it was just a perfect storm of events about being online and researching what to do when, and having known a lot of brewers in Michigan, and figuring out what happens in the brewing process, and it just kind of all came together.
Did you know like how to make soap? Or
I had no idea.
Okay.
And my wife can attest that the first few batches were horrid. And people were like, "You're crazy. He's lost it. He's stopped doing social media marketing. He has lost it. He's making beer soap in his kitchen now."
You went straight Tyler Durden on West.
I did. I was just like, here's what
That's
we're
a
doing.
Fight Club reference. You should Google it.
So I don't know if I answered the question exactly.
I think so, but if I can push a little bit more. So you're working on these batches, right? And
Right.
part of the startup culture is this. It's usually rife with failure, right? Because you don't have the infrastructure that a traditional company does. So you're making these soaps and they're not working. Like, talk me through the turning point where you figure out how to make the soap and you figure out that it's a viable product. And then the question that I'm going to start with you and go that way is like, then when do we get to Banana Republic? Like, what does that scale look like? Which is a big question, I understand.
Which is a big question. Working backwards, I think to kind of come up, first off, making a batch of soap is really inexpensive. And that is the great part about being a startup is you can take a product to market. You know, it's kind of scary, but you can take it very, very quickly. You don't have to jump through all the hurdles that you would have to with a normal company or corporation. So failing wasn't really this huge thing because you're just messing around a little bit. But ultimately, I was the consumer, so I knew what I wanted. I knew there was a market out there, and I knew what I was expecting from the product. It was just a matter of researching and trial and error to get that exactly how I wanted it, and exactly how hardworking and natural, you know, it could be to sit on a shelf with other products. And Banana Republic, was that the...
Well, so like, and what I mean by that is, you know, we've been working with you guys for probably 8 months on and off, right? And in that 8 months, you become a very different company very quickly.
Right.
And so talk me through kind of what scale has looked like for Dan Handsome.
Well, scale has really always been one step forward, two step back. We, to this day, don't have investors. We started with $200 in a kitchen making awful soap. And so it's been hard to scale up really quickly, and a lot of the times we'll get a big contract like Banana or Urban Outfitters or Martha Stewart, and we'll just go, okay, so here we go now. And basically we drain the bank account and go back to it, and you just put it all on good faith that it's going to work because we have faith in our product and we're our customers. So as long as we have an interest in it, we feel like it's really going to resonate out there.
And so how many employees do you have right now?
We have 3 right now. And that all happened, actually this time last year we were still in our kitchen with just myself. So this has all happened within a year, this huge expansion that we've had. So it's been exciting.
And so, and guys, I'll go that way, I promise. But you can kind of get what we're going to do here. So, you know, you go from, you're working in social media marketing, right? You start making soap in your kitchen a year ago.
There's got to be a better way to say it.
Right. In your how about lab? Go straight Dr. Dre on it, right? You're
Yeah.
soap in the lab,
Okay, there we
right?
go. Yep.
You know, but you go from innovator entrepreneur to now you've got to figure out HR. And I know
Exactly.
all of you guys have employees. So, you know, what does that look like when you go, okay, I'm working by myself, now I have to work with other people and I have to figure out what sort of people I want to work with?
It's hell. For me, it's not my wheelhouse at all. And I think that's the tough part, and that's where we're at is, you know, I still have to be a jack of all trades, and I'm not. So it really does become difficult, and you really have to, as an entrepreneur, as a small startup manager, you have to make sure that you're still addressing all those areas that you either don't know about or hate doing. And if you can't, then you have to be okay with asking for help. And we're starting to get to that point where we're asking for help to do those things. Especially now that tax season is coming up. You don't want me to do your taxes. I don't want to do my own taxes. So it's things like that where you do have to be a jack of all trades at the beginning, and then you have to recognize when that time is to start giving some of that stuff up and what your role should be, you know, in October and what it is in November, because it's constantly changing, especially in our industry, which is so secular. It moves very, very quickly.
So Jason, you're in a parking lot talking to your wife by yourself, right? And then
Yep.
Black Truck is born out of that. Same question to you, like when did you know you were scaling, and like when did you shift to become HR manager and start bringing people on?
Oh boy. So the HR manager role, 1.5 years. Patrick's in the crowd, so I can ask him. He's my number 2, so 1.5 years probably. So 18 months.
Patrick.
Yeah.
Hey, Patrick, what's up?
So in terms of scalability wise, completely separate, and I would say that the rest of us are like that too. That separate from a product-based company, we're service-oriented, right? So scale is completely different discussion.
Sure.
We don't do a SaaS-based product. We don't have a physical in-demand product. And I don't abide by the fail fast model anyways. I think that that's a great thing for product and SaaS-based companies. I'm very, very much focused on sustainability, and that's just a part of our ethos and company culture is how do we grow this and scale it at the right rate that makes sense, and maybe that's just a conservative thing, but quite honestly, a team of 2 or 3 can do a lot in this space, It allows us to be agile and move quick and break things and keep moving much faster than actually agencies of size. And that might just be my experience in understanding how that works. So
No, I think that's a great point. When you're this small, you can really move around quickly.
Yep.
You don't have to answer to a bunch of people. You don't have to go through this whole vetting process. You can, if you're good with it, you can go with it.
Correct. And that also presents its own set of challenges, and a lot of that is when it comes to managing others. So the biggest hurdle for me was going from doer to leader. First and foremost is making sure that the team has the tools and what they need to be successful, and then get the hell out of the way.
So how did you know, to get more specific only because he's here, how did you know that he was going to be the guy? Like, what was that process like?
Background. So, Patrick didn't have, he wasn't necessarily green in the industry. And it's nothing against interns and things like that. We were all there. I've been there. But knowing where I wanted to go and where I wanted to be and what I wanted the brand to be known for, I didn't necessarily want someone that I had to train completely from the ground up. Our goal every day is we come in and we get shit done.
Sure.
And we do the best job that we can at it. We're not there to, we have a good time and we chat and things like that, but, both have families, both get it, both understand where the success rises and falls. Right. So we're there to do our jobs and go home.
Awesome. Chris, you're probably the biggest shop, I think, up here. I think you have the most employees of all of these guys at this point. Like, talk me through, you and John building this thing and like when you decided that you were going to scale and what that looked like.
Yeah, scalability. So shout out to the 4 people here up front. Yeah, this is part of my crew. I dragged them in here this morning. So, 5. Sorry, Charles back there too. Sorry. All right. 5. My bad. Apologize, Charles. So scalability and kind of looking at that, So we have 4 partners in the company and we have 7 team members. And we're actually hiring 2 more. Not trying to recruit anything, but hey, email support at grandapps.com, right? If you want to talk. Seriously, we are. So looking at a couple different positions if you want more information. But scalability, honestly, like I love people. I love being a leader in some way. I love leading by example. I was just in the office. If you did see the Snapchat until 2 a.m., and actually asked one of our designers to come in. I said, hey, look, I know it's your day off, but I'm in here right now trying to hit this deadline. We'll pay you extra, whatever it needs to take. And they came in and worked till 1 with me, So I think it's just leading by example to show these people and then finding the right group of people who are passionate and you guys have that same vision. Because, if you come to a company and it's just, you're going to be a doer and we don't have a passion or a vision, then, what's everybody thinking? In the company, there's doing it in corporate America. So even if it is a corporate setting or a bigger company, you all have to have it vertical and you all have to speak that mission and know what your purpose is. Like he's saying, get shit done on a day-to-day basis. So for me, I just like it. I'm part of another company too that I invested in and we're trying to scale that company. It's a flooring company. I love the challenge. I love it. I love leading, managing. So to me, it was kind of, it's kind of easy to attract those kind of people.
But I'm going to push a little bit on that because your story is you coming straight out of college, right? And there's probably people watching on Facebook Live or even in this audience that are like, am I going to go work for a CEO that's 20 years old? Like, what do you know about leadership, right?
Yep. So I had that a lot. Yeah, like
I'm sure you do.
Like the age thing. I'm 27 years old. When I started, I was 22. And people looking at you, even when you're pitching, you're going to sales, they're like, what do you know about marketing? What do you know about mobile apps? What do you know about this? Luckily, we're in the tech space, so they want to see a younger guy. So that kind of played out well for me. But what I found with being a leader this young and leading such a big group to my standard of people is like seriously relating to them, young or old, I don't care. Like I'm from Detroit, so I'm from a melting pot of different cultures. And I'm also a learner. Like I'm gonna go read all the information I can. I'm gonna network with business owners. I'm gonna seek consult from other people and try to be very sharp because I have to be very sharp and have knowledge and principles and ideas that I can speak with other people who are 50 years old, right? Who are 60 years old. I talk to some 56-year-old business owners. They have no concept and clue of what I'm talking about. And I'm thinking like, how do you not know this? Like you're acting kind of like immature, like a kid and you're 50. So to me, age really doesn't matter. It's about your mind. How sharp you are. Even if you're 70 years old and you're dancing, having a great time. We all see the Facebook pictures, right? Someone dancing, they're 70 and it's like, oh, that's cute. And it's, like, oh, no, but it's seriously, it's about your mind. So I try to have a really sharp mind. Instead of going out and partying like a 27-year-old's going to do, instead of going out to the club and having fun or whatever, like I literally will work in the office. I'll go to the gym, 5 to 6. I'll go back to the office, and on the weekends I go back to the office. So I'm leading by example, and I'm trying to just stay educated. So to me, like the age thing, I definitely get it, and like the perception of what people have. But for me, hey, come join the team. Like Mike is here. Mike has 10 years on me, and he's got 10 years of experience in sales. But I tell him, I say, hey, come in, help us lead the team, help us grow the sales division because you know way more than me, and I'm not going to act like I know more than you. So let's join this and do this together. Kind of. So,
Gotcha. And Two Eagles, for people who don't know a lot about your background, right? Like you're technically in a service area, but you're also inventing the products that you're using as a service. So talk me through like the construction of that first photo booth, selling that first photo booth, and then how that thing scales to get to employees.
Well, the first photo booth I designed and manufactured was made out of MDF, which is basically the same stuff that these tables are made out of, or most all furniture. It was a gigantic, it basically looked like a one of those mini refrigerators. It was this huge box that I could barely put my arms around. I did one event with that, and I was like, this thing is horrible. I need to work on 2.0 right away, and I wanted to actually find a legitimate manufacturer for it. So I found, after extensive Googling, because I had no idea what to look. I mean, you can't just Google photo booth manufacturing unless you want to pay retail.
Right.
So I wanted to design my own system that I wanted to take to the market. So I designed my first system, and I started using it. I'm still using it today, and I've invested in a few more systems. But when it comes to scaling for a company like mine that's service oriented, with what we're doing, it's number one, it's really challenging to find staff that's going to be intelligent enough and professional enough to be able to handle an event on their own. But you have to invest in $10,000 worth of equipment for every person you have to have out in an event. So it's not, it's scaling a much different way. And but now my capabilities are I can do 3 events simultaneously, and one of the most complex ones is I had 2 people in GR while I was heading to Detroit for an event. So that's about it.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions? Jason in the back.
Top of the morning, gentlemen.
Sorry, the leprechaun.
I forgot to say thanks.
He's going to be that guy. So yes.
I know.
Can I ask about marketing?
You can ask about anything you want.
What was your most successful marketing strategy to establish your brand? Not once you got rolling, but to introduce the world to you.
Networking. Yeah, straight up. I mean, dead simple networking. I mean, it's who you know, who you built relationships with, whether they're competitors, whether they're not. I mean, we're in the digital marketing space, and for all great that does with content marketing and social media and all that. At the end of the day, it's still going to rise and fall on who you know, and that's the reason that I'm able to come here and talk today too, right? Yeah. So.
I was gonna say off that, so marketing or do like, are you asking like a plan that you put out and it's like a cool commercial or like something totally different?
I mean, was there something, whether intentional or by accident, that stuck that really got you a lot of traction?
Okay, so what we actually did, we actually established partnerships. So we actually partnered with Banyan Food Services. So they're kind of like, Gordon Food, Cisco on that level. And so literally all their reps are going out and they're talking about Grand Apps, right? Our services that we could offer at exclusive rates to them, sometimes, and preferred customers might get a bigger discount for them. And then also, other media companies across the country. So partnerships work really well. If you could find that beneficial partnership, and if you're going to benefit them and they're going to benefit you like that, we have 4 exclusive ones that are just like awesome. Brewers Professional Lines, we partnered with them. I don't know if you know them, but so they do like all the breweries, and so like they're a one-stop shop. So you come there, they have like finance, accounting, all this stuff. So it might be actually a good fit. I could link you up with them, but yeah. So partnerships for us like really helped us see more traffic.
Jarrett, what about you? Because you have an actual product, so there's a need to put together a campaign, right?
Yeah, I would say at first, what we did before we did anything was we figured out down to the T what our brand was, what our mission was, what our lifestyle was going to be. And then once we had that down, we were really quickly, with social, we had access to a lot of people really quickly. So we were able to network through social networks, but in a very genuine and a very transparent way. And it was consistent from day one, which I think is key in a product-based industry, is you're sending, the same message all the time, the same look and feel about your brand, and you're saying in a very concise way, here's what we do, here's what we are, let's connect. And so it is networking and marketing and partnering, but for us it was all done on social, and it was done really by reaching out through hashtags and through like-minded handles, and actually connecting with the people and commenting and talking with them. And we saw, immediate followers just from doing that.
Now, were you putting spend against that, or is that all organic?
No, we actually have not spent a penny today for marketing.
Look at you, Donald Trump. There you go.
Let's strike that from the record.
Two Eagles, what about you?
My most effective strategy has been to just get in front of as many people at events as I can. So when I do events now, I always have a staff member running my system where I just find out the people who are the decision makers sponsoring or attending the event, and I say, hey, I'm Two Eagles, this is my company. You have an auto company, this is how we can benefit you. Or I even went up to a guy who has a meat market and I said, this is how we can benefit you. And he says, oh, we have a 10-year anniversary coming up. And I said, well, these are the things we can do. We can take your slogans and put up these photos, and people can pick their slogans, and they just react very well. So I think it's that one-on-one with the decision makers that's worked best for me.
And I do think it's worth saying that when you start doing this, it's really important that all your touch points are consistent, because if they're not, it's a wasted amount of energy that you're putting forth. If I come up to you and say, hi, I'm Jarrett from Damn Handsome, check out our line of beard care products, and you say, that's awesome, I love your business card, and then you go to our site and our site looks awful or totally different, you're done. I've lost you already. So I think it's really important that, especially in our industry, you have a very, very complete picture of yourself before you even try and put yourself out there.
Angie?
My question is for Jarrett, just to dig a little deeper on just how you answered that question. In your introduction, you talked about your connections with Urban Outfitters.
Yes.
Can you explain how you actually achieved that exposure?
That's a good question. All of our clients at those levels have been through either word of mouth or social media. We haven't reached out to them. They've come to us, which has been great, but we've never exactly been sure how it happens. Sometimes it's a gift from a friend that they had gotten, and then they look us up, someone who works at the company, and then they ask for samples, and we send samples out, and it's just, we build a relationship that way. But it's definitely all through word of mouth, which is the biggest influencer for us. And affiliate marketing or partnership marketing would be a great next step for us, and those are things we're looking into now. But it's definitely all been through, hey, I tried this product, you got to try it, and it just happens to get in the right hands, or we're sending it to the right markets.
Patrick?
Jared, piggyback on that similar question. I'm a former owner of a full-size beard.
Who's out there?
It was pretty big and red. It looked like his, but it was real. Upon agreement with my wife, I had to maintain it, and I didn't have any connections with any networking with people who had beard care products in their pocket. So I went to Ulta. I lived by a new Ulta, and I went in and asked for men's grooming products. I said, here, it's this one.
Yeah.
There's one option. One option.
Yep.
The retail fronts you're going into now, it's not really typically what I would think for men's grooming products.
Well, I think these the retailers that we're partnering with have realized that, and they realize that there's a market in it as well, and not just in a novelty, although there is a lot of novelty out there, but in a real sense that guys are, we're past the whole metrosexual thing, and that where guys are like getting smart, and they're very, very interested in what's going in their body, but also what's going on their body and how they can really benefit from using natural products. And yeah, stores like Ulta, I'm sure in the next 5 years, their men's section will continue to grow. But this is where all of these contacts are coming from because they're trying to grow that market in their own store because they realize that the market in general is growing. And we just happened to come in at the right time. And part of that was a coincidence, but part of it was also going back to in the kitchen, making beer soap, realizing that there's a market for that and there's a hole in that market. And I think any one of these guys will tell you that part of the startup or being entrepreneurial is trying to see around the corners. And I think the really good ones can. And that's constantly what we're trying to do on a daily basis is what's next, what's next, what's next. And Ulta is not there yet, but I bet they will be.
Yeah.
So I guess this is kind of open up to either. So if you have a product or service, at what point, like, do you risk like giving away something for free to add value? Like, because you don't want to come off as like, oh, I can get this for free anywhere, but yet you want to build that relationship, you want to build that network. So like, is there a balance there? Do you do a few things for free and then like, hey, I'm going to charge you the fourth time?
Yeah, I mean, personally, like what I would do if I was in that space, I mean, it would just depend on who that person is, right? If that's a CEO of Banana Republic and you're like trying to get, hey, you know, here's everything, here's a whole basket of, you know, like try this for free. I mean, it just depends on what you want to give away. Like, I mean, I think that if you're giving away a product for free up front to get people to try it, I mean, I think that's great. Like, I would love something free, I'll try it and then I'll use it again. For example, you know, we just went to GNC, me and Brandon, right? And they give us away free samples of, you know, whatever. And like, I tried something, like, oh, I might try that next time. I'm not in that space. I haven't researched that too much, but I mean, I think that's a good strategy, right? You don't want to break the bank or go bankrupt. We give away too much free sample.
Yeah,
but
I think there's a couple factors. One is, you know, you want to identify someone as an influencer or not, and what their kind of influence that they have, their voice, and you know, the torque that they would give if they're putting it out there. But there's also just being, you know, a good retailer, and sometimes you just give free stuff away because you realize that your product's good, it'll come back around, and it's a great investment. I mean, to give a product away, you know, for a charity or for a gift bag, I mean, that's in a sense a form of marketing. You know, you can really view it at that if you have confidence that it's going to come back to you. How do you identify that? I think you just kind of have to go on instinct, but you can identify the influencer aspect of it. You know, who is that person? Are they a blogger? Are they, you know, do they know somebody at some company? Do they have bearded friends? You know, anything like that. It's very inexpensive to give a product away. You know, it's easier to do that than to put together a marketing plan, and it probably speaks a lot louder.
Sure. I think if I can dig in a little bit deeper, though, I think his question for all of you, right, is the nuance of coming back from free. Like, what's the corner that you can't come back? Like, you've given away so much free soap that I don't need anymore at that point. You know what I mean?
I think a product it's a lot easier, like for Jarrett to do that. For us, it's knowledge share. So if I can share pieces of information with you, there's a point, right? There's a level, because I don't care if it's the president or CEO of Banana Republic that I'm talking to or Herman Miller. There's a respect line there, right? You get paid to do a job. We get paid to do a job. Part of our intellectual property and our process and what we go through, that's what we get paid for. And someone who is of influence is going to understand and respect that your time is valuable, and they're not going to ask for something that's free. And if they do, then it's that dance that you have to kind of play and push back and say, well, no, this is how it works. The individuals, especially in our case, that are giving a lot away for free aren't necessarily the ones that are in it for the long haul. They're in it for the money grab, and they're the ones that client is not going to see the success out of. So for us, we're happy to share a little bit of information with you, and maybe we can talk about what you're doing now, what's not working, and why those might be failing. But in terms of, you know, yeah, we're going to do an analysis on a 100-page website for free because we can plug it into a tool. No, good luck.
And I'll give a very concrete example of coming back from it. last year we, I don't know if you guys are all familiar with Birchbox, everybody. Anyone familiar with their model, how they operate? Yes, no, no, yes. Well, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, Birchbox operates, they send out samples every month in a box. They have a men's box now that they do. But they don't pay for the product. The product is all provided to them from these companies as a form of awareness, marketing awareness. And we partnered with them very early on a very small scale, about 350 units. No big deal, for free, right? We gave those away for free because we wanted that awareness. They came back to us 6 months later and said, great, we want to do this again. We had great response. We're launching this huge other section on our website for beards and men's grooming. We need 3,000 units. That's the point where we said, that's not worth our investment at this time. We're not that scalable of a company right now. Let's come back and talk in 2016.
Did you see a return on that though? Was like a return like in sales that you could tell or no?
It was very hard at that point, at the point that their site was,
Yeah.
to tell, but now they do have a nice system set up.
Is it okay?
So it will be worthwhile down the line, but at that point, at the point that they were asking, there was no way that we would be able to do that or see that. So we said no. I don't know if that answers.
Other questions, guys? Go ahead.
So kind of a simple question for each of you, of your product and service. What do you find is your most successful form of social, whether it's Twitter or
Instagram.
At Twitter.
Ours is Facebook. Yeah, we do. Yeah, if you guys want, check it out. Now, I mean, we started like Facebook for marketing what you're doing. But find something like different, like Instagram, 100%, right? Pictures, right? You have the soap, the product. Twitter, I just haven't gotten to. A lot of people like that. Twitter, Facebook. For us, Facebook, we just started building our community from that from day one. So we had the most followers, and we just really didn't have time, you know, like limited resources to go on Twitter and do everything. So,
And I think it's industry specific too.
Yep.
You know, I don't think that Instagram would work for a lot of business. I mean, it works, but not to the degree of another social profile.
You have a great lifestyle product and it fits really well.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the question about like the giving away of product. For my product, for a corporation, I probably wouldn't do anything, but for a lot of the events I deal with are nonprofits and charity events where they're always looking for donations. And as a business and a very small business, I can only allocate so many free events. So what I do is I come up with a strategy of maybe if I know we can put the photo booth as a line item for the next year, and for this year they have no concept of what the experience is like or what kind of value it brings to the event or how anybody can benefit from it. I'll say, hey, let's go in this year. I'll donate it for free, but I need you to introduce me to some people, some of your sponsors, and make some connections that way. And then next year, we'll monetize it. We'll do a 50-50 on it. So that's kind of strategic or something like that.
I was gonna say, I have a question. Can I do that?
Yeah.
So for the audience, anybody out there right now, who is on the verge, has an idea, or wants to start a business? I saw first, second. All right. So what's your business?
Yeah, will you sign in on Pete?
We could. I mean, everybody's here.
So I'm trying to launch an idea for a TV show.
Okay.
Does that count?
Yeah.
Right on.
So launching that. So are you officially like you're gonna launch it like 100%?
I've filmed the pilot.
Nice. Good, man. Yeah, I was just curious about that because I want to see, again, just kind of like open up the conversation to you guys. You know, I know it's kind of weird, like Q&A, you may have questions, and you're like, nothing. But, kind of talking about it, I mean, all of our stories are a little different. It just kind of going back to the money aspect of it, and I wanted to really go on that was, I did come out of college, right, when I was doing the business, but, these guys, right, have wives, had money. I had 17 jobs, before I even got to my senior year. And I was literally flat broke. I was in debt for my friends because I had to borrow money for rent. Like, hey man, could you float me for next month? Is that cool? Yeah, sure, all right. So I'd do that, and so starting the company. So that's just wanted to kind of get like a feel for the audience where you are, because these guys all sitting up here right now, we know something that a few, like 5 other people raised their hand about life in general. That, like, literally, this might sound super cliche, but I was talking to another guy at Bigby yesterday for a meeting, and like, anything is possible. So if you do have the idea to pilot like the show, you absolutely can do that, because literally, I think Steve Jobs said it, like, we're all naked, right? I mean, we just don't know it, but there's nothing to lose. There really isn't. The job, I know Eric, right? I mean, you can vouch for us, right?
Sure.
You're here, but it's
well,
like,
that's why you're here,
we,
right?
yeah, we talked about that over there, like about like corporate culture and like, you know, different flat verticals of like a startup. But going through this process, it taught us a lot. I'm sure, right? So if you guys do have that idea, I'm saying do it. Like, push yourself to the next limit. If that's something you could take away from this Q&A, sure, that's fun. But take a little piece from it, like, yeah, I could go start that shop or do this, and do something productive that's gonna align with your values. Because seriously, life is way too short, right? To be sitting around and not do what you're passionate about. So that's just like, you know, advice I would say that I want you guys to take away from that.
So last question before we let you guys go. And 2 things before I ask said question. 1, if you've never been here before and you want a tour, let one of us standing around here know, and we'll walk you around. 2, there's a Snapchat filter for today, so feel free to use it. But we'll end here with this question, because I think this is the second question after the how do I start this? Like, how do I jump off the cliff? The second question is, what will my work-life balance look like? So what is right? I mean, you know, if you follow the 2 gentlemen on the end on Snapchat, it appears they sleep for 16 minutes a day, right? So like, what's the work-life balance, and does it ever kind of balance out? And I'd like to start with you, Jason, because you've kind of done both sides of the coin and probably have a better, you know, grasp on it at this point.
Sure.
Because you're scaling at a slower pace.
Yeah, no, we're scaling at a slower pace. We're scaling at the right.
Intentionally.
Yeah. So no, I think work-life balance is always a challenge. If you ask me that question versus Patrick, it's very different.
Different because you own the
correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So similar. I have a pretty strong. The ethos of the culture and the company are very strong from the get-go when I started it. Similar to companies like Patagonia, Cliff Bar, things like that. Those are really very, very sustainable companies that I look up to, that sell a product, not a service, but we can model certain aspects. You know, yeah, there's work that happens from the team probably after hours occasionally, but at the same time, you know, I'm very, very respectful of people's time and family time, and think that's very, very important. And I think that makes you actually a better employee, and that in turn makes the culture much better, because I value that time. But for me, you know, work-life balance. There's definitely multiple times a week where, you know, the 8 to 5 happens. You get home, throttle down. It's kid time. Kids go to bed. Then it's 9 o'clock at night, and you're working until, you know, midnight, 1 o'clock. It just depends on what's happening. So for me, that's the balance, but trying to be very, very selective about that time, and being respectful of other people's time as well.
Do you find though, and I'll ask you this, like, do you find that even though it's not your ball, your bat, your game, so to speak, that you model yourself after that? Like, are you going home and working at night?
Do our arrangement, not necessarily really, but if something comes up, I'm not going to say, you're not paying me for that.
Gotcha.
So, no, I'm not going to respond to that email. No, it's not like that at all. It's all founded on respect for each other and our personal space. And that was established up front. And what he's saying, it's been the same since day one. It's been in the Black Truck for 6-7 years now. And I haven't seen it falter in my year and a half there. And I've worked for small companies before, and I've had those bosses that you wake up in the morning and find 7 emails at 2 a.m. and I've never once gotten an after hours email, partially because he turns his phone on at night. But it's a good respect. I'm not afraid to do the work at night if the work needs to get done.
Sure.
But we have an understanding that I'm not expected to do the work overnight because he's the owner and I'm the number 2.
Gotcha.
It's a good respect for each other, and it's all based on communicating that respect for each other.
Okay, Jarrett, what about you? You've gone from the kitchen to now you're dealing with bigger retailers. Like, what's the work-life balance for you right now?
I think it really fluctuates. and I'm really trying to be better at it now. There's certain days where I have to not bring my laptop home, not turn off my phone, but say I'm not going to check anything. And then there's certain peaks of the season where it's all work. From August until January 1, it's all work. It's just insane. But I think that you have to try, and I'm starting to realize this now, you really have to set those boundaries, because you will burn out, or you'll just kind of destroy any relationships that you have outside of work. But it is very difficult because work and personal blend so closely when you are working for yourself. I mean, even our employees, once they're technically off the clock, they'll still hang around. People come over for beers at the office. We have brewers who come over. So it's really, it's a mix, but the actual sitting down at a computer and doing work is how I kind of define that turn off. Sure. That's how I turn it off, is I just shut it down, and then that's it. But in the beginning, it's just power through. There's nothing else you can do, especially if you're doing it all. For me, I was doing production, marketing, graphic design, wholesale accounts, customer care, all of that. So one person you have to do it all if you want to continue to grow. But at the point that we're at now's the time where you step back and you're constantly reevaluating your business and your role in that business. And if you're smart, you are. And then you're saying, okay, now's the time where I feel like I should be maybe not bringing the computer home and working until 11:30 every night when everything else is going on around me. So I think you just have to keep reevaluating your role and figuring out in that moment what your balance should be.
Chris, what about you?
Yeah, so I think it's about value. Perfect ending statement for that is literally, what do you value? So for example, these two guys are married. Kids, no kids? Mm-hmm. Kids, okay. So I personally don't have that. And when you start a company, you should define your lifestyle goals. Why are you even starting a company, right? Why are you going to start a company, and what do you want to live like in the next 10 to 15 years? So do you want to be on a yacht? Do you want to be retired? Do you just want to be working? Are you happy working? For me, the work-life balance it's more work, but I don't really think that there's a work-life balance. It's just my life. I'm not really working. These guys could probably vouch for that, just because what we found is our passion, and we could do that. So it's not work. It literally, to me, is not work. So side note, Brandon, he's actually here sitting there in the red hoodie, one of my best friends, and we've known each other for 10 years, works in the company. He's probably my second and my right-hand man, pretty much. And, he'll come in before me even to the office, right? We'll work, we'll go to the gym, and we'll come back and work at night. So we're friends hanging out, right? Still working. So again, it's just our life. But when I do have kids, or if I, get married and settle down, then it's going to be if I value that, So if I value to go to the recital, or to go to my kid's basketball game, or whatever, or go on a honeymoon or something, then I'll do that. So just determine your values and what you want to do, and really, everything you're doing is just going to be your life, not really working. So,
Two Eagles?
There is no work-life balance, especially, when you're trying to grow. I'm still the assistant publisher of Women's Lifestyle magazine, and then also I'm running the Glitter Booth business, and I have a family. So what they say is that when you're an entrepreneur, there's five things. You have family, friends, fitness. What are the two things? That's all I got. There's two more things. I can't think of them that's very critical to this, but you can only pick 3 of the 5 things.
I knew that. Yeah.
So what I've done is I kind of started late in the game when I came into the entrepreneurship and being successful at picking something like the Glitter Booth. So I am trying to kind of using a brute force on this, and just putting everything I have into it, because I want to be able to provide any opportunities that my kids need to express themselves. And also, we focus on quality time, not just spending kind of aimless time together all the time. I like to take them on experiences and better vacations, and show them that there is this amazing world out there, and that they need to shoot for the stars. And because our life was drastically different before I started the Glitter Booth than what it is now, and they're understanding if you work hard enough, that you can make real huge changes in your life, and you can actually decide your own path. I'm doing that right now, so I want to be an example for them, and I also want to be an example for anybody else that doesn't think that they can start their own business or follow their vision, because especially being a minority, there's a lot of people that they don't have somebody to look up to that's successful in business.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for the time this morning, I should say. If you guys have questions, they'll hang around for a couple of minutes. You can ask them, and if you need a tour, let us know. But thank you guys.